This baby, barely born, can already understand his parents' conversations. He watches his mom change his soaked diapers and sneaks peeks at his dad fighting monsters, secretly studying combat skills. His name is Arthur, just a few months old. He's already escaping his crib. He dodges his mom while she's busy with chores and sneaks to the bookshelf, poring over magic tomes bigger than he is. Most people awaken their magical talent at 20. Arthur, barely able to talk or walk, masters magic in record time, and accidentally blows up his house. When his parents find him, he's floating in midair, powered by raw magic. And that's just the start. In his first fight, Arthur slices through his father's weapon, showing strength far beyond his age. His parents, seasoned adventurers, are floored. By age 4, Arthur's sparring with warriors, outrunning assassins, and even in a hopeless battle against 100 foes, he takes down the enemy mage in a blaze of mutual destruction. To unravel the mystery of this kid, we need to go back to his past life. Arthur came from a world without magic, only advanced tech. An orphan from the slums, he clawed his way up through brute force and cunning, waging wars until he stood at the pinnacle as the mightiest king. But that life was brutal, constantly dodging assassins. Arthur found death a relief. Reborn in this new world as a newborn, he thought it was a dream, until he noticed something wild. His parents wield magic, a power he'd never seen. This world teems with monsters and adventurers, some so strong they rival fighter jets. Arthur feels a spark of joy, thrilled by this strange world and the warmth of family. In his past life, he knew only bloodshed and betrayal, with no one to trust. Now, he has Reynolds and Alice, parents who adore him. Arthur cherishes this new life. While other babies are busy wetting diapers, he's training his bladder control and devouring books about this world. The continent is home to humans, elves, and dwarves, all thriving on magic with no trace of tech. Magic splits into two types: sorcerers like Alice, who summon elemental attacks or support spells, and warriors like Reynolds, who enhance their bodies for battle. As a former king, Arthur's knowledge is vast. His old world had weaker supernatural forces, but he blends that insight with this world's magic. He seizes every chance to learn from warriors and sorcerers, though his parents often interrupt, hoping he'll stay their little boy a bit longer. Raised in an orphanage, Arthur once saw family as a luxury. Maybe the god sensed his longing, granting him this life as a gift. Bathed in his parents' love, the once mighty king now giggles and acts cute, even using his charm to sneak more time with magic books. Years ahead of his peers, he awakens his magic early. Reynolds and Alice stare at their ruined house and their floating son. Their first thought isn't shock or pride, it's relief that Arthur's safe. Tears stream down Alice's face, landing on Arthur's cheeks. He cries too, unstoppable. He can fend off any emotion. But family, that's his weakness. Arthur doesn't let family ties slow his grind. His past life taught him that the weak get crushed. To protect those he loves, he needs to be stronger. Reynolds is stunned. At 4, Arthur's already terrifyingly powerful. In their first sparring match, Arthur snaps his dad's weapon in half. This sparks a rift between Reynolds and Alice. Reynolds wants to send Arthur to train with elites for a brighter future. Alice, worried he's too young to fend for himself, refuses to let him go. Sensing the tension, Arthur suggests they all travel together. His parents, unable to part with him, agree instantly. They call on old adventurer allies to escort them to a distant city. The team's stacked, every class covered. Most are warm toward Arthur, except for Jasmine, the quiet assassin who keeps her distance. The journey opens Arthur's eyes. In his past life, he zipped around in high-speed airships. Now, a slow carriage lets him soak in the scenery. Reynolds and Alice's caution proves wise. On day 1, monsters attack, the team's synergy shines, and the weak creatures fall in 3 rounds, ending up as dinner. The trip reveals something else. Alice is a rare healing mage. Her powers are so valuable she hides them from strangers to avoid being snatched by shady organizations. She fled to the countryside for peace. After dinner, the warrior Adam spars with Arthur. Everyone, except Reynolds and Alice, is floored by Arthur's talent. Jasmine, intrigued by his techniques, starts pestering him to study his moves. From then on, Arthur trains under the team's guidance, sharpening his swordplay and battlefield tactics. On his birthday, Jasmine gifts him a short dagger with a rope tied to the hilt. Arthur can tether it to himself and throw it for long-range attacks. Hours later, that dagger becomes his lifeline. As they prepare to move out, Arthur notices Alice looking queasy. He recalls her poor appetite on the road and grows worried. Then, real trouble hits. A massive bandit gang surrounds them, demanding women and children while vowing to slaughter the men. One-on-one, Arthur's team is stronger, but the bandits' numbers seem endless. The group faces a grim reality. Constant fighting drains their stamina, and they can't outlast the horde. Worse, the bandit leader joins the fray. Reynolds forbids Arthur and Alice from helping. His next words shake Arthur to his core. Alice is pregnant. Arthur must get her and the unborn baby to safety. Now it clicks. Alice's nausea was morning sickness. Reynolds sacrifices himself, holding off the leader. Jasmine and the others clear a path through the bandits. Arthur grabs Alice to flee, but a bandit mage ambushes them. Arthur shoves Alice aside and tumbles off a cliff. In his final moment, he hurls Jasmine's dagger, the rope snaring the mage, dragging them both to their doom. The world goes silent. Arthur can't hear Alice's screams. Tears stream down his face. He doesn't fear death, only leaving his parents and the sibling he'll never meet. He clings to this hard-won happiness, desperate to hold on. When Arthur comes to, he's in a strange cave. A massive creature looms before him. He attacks, but she swats him away effortlessly. Thankfully, she's not hostile. She gathers fruit, insisting he eat before asking questions. Munching, Arthur learns her name, Sylvia. She shares good news. His parents escaped safely. Tears fall as Arthur thanks her sincerely. Sylvia explains she's bound to the cave, using magic to monitor the outside. The area crawls with monsters and bandits, so she needs time to prepare a teleportation spell for Arthur. Beyond that, she's tight-lipped, her identity a mystery. Sylvia shows off a jaw-dropping skill, casting spells while gathering magic, boosting her endurance in battle. Arthur begs to learn, eager to wipe out his enemies. Sylvia flicks him away, unimpressed by his answer. Under her guidance, Arthur gains clarity. In his past life, he was a king, but Parliament ran the show. He was more a general, waging wars until he burned out and abdicated. Now, he knows why he fights. Power is a tool to protect loved ones, not a weapon for rage or revenge. Pleased with his growth, Sylvia takes him as her disciple. Meanwhile, a creature resembling Sylvia slays a dragon. Sensing danger, Sylvia hides Arthur in a rock pile, warning him to stay quiet. A massive beast storms the cave. Attacking, Sylvia unshackles her true form, a dragon, and fights with all she's got. But the enemy's stronger and spots Arthur. Sylvia triggers her ultimate ability, Time Stop. She hands Arthur a dragon egg and a feather, etching a strange tattoo on his arm. In her final moments, Sylvia calls Arthur by his past life name, urging him not to let darkness consume him again. Arthur has a million questions, but time's up. He has to go. Not everyone's as kind as Sylvia. When time resumes, the enemy unleashes a brutal assault. With her last strength, Sylvia detonates the cave. Teleported away, Arthur's face is soaked with tears. Suddenly, a girl's scream pierces the air. He forces his grief aside, snapping to high alert. With a quick spell on his ankles, he leaps onto a high branch. Arthur soon spots the source. A group of slavers has captured an elf girl, having been separated from his parents during a bandit attack. Arthur knows he could have ended up enslaved like her, but he refuses to let fear take over. Channeling Sylvia's teachings, he calms himself and trails the slavers, waiting for a chance to act. Night falls. Arthur deliberately hurls a stone at the slaver's mount, luring one enemy to investigate alone. In a flash, he kills two of them. The third dodges a fatal blow and shouts a warning to his comrades. The fourth slaver, the strongest, gives Arthur no edge in the fight's early moments. After several brutal close-quarters exchanges, Arthur nearly gets caught, but as the mightiest king in his past life, his battle-honed instincts kick in. With a masterful display, he takes down all his foes. Arthur frees the elf girl, learning her name is Tesha. She was snatched by slavers while playing. Ever considerate, Arthur covers the slavers' bodies with cloth to spare the young elf trauma. Though he planned to search for his parents, he can't leave Tesha to fend for herself. Especially after Tesha risks attack to free the slaver's mount. Her kindness convinces Arthur to play the hero and escort her home. Arthur passes on the compassion Sylvia showed him. Some people uphold kindness without expecting reward. Tesha can be a bit spoiled at times, and Arthur, despite being only 4, feels exasperated. He longs to reunite with his family but spends precious time in this strange forest. Still, he swallows his impatience, treating Tesha like a patient older brother. Nights are the toughest. The forest teems with danger, and Arthur, exhausted from the day, must stay vigilant. Awkwardly, Tesha loves to chat, revealing that elves view humans poorly. Arthur brushes it off, a mistake that nearly costs him his life. Crossing mountains and waterfalls, Arthur struggles to keep going, often carrying Tesha on his back. Exhaustion pushes him to his limit, and a sharp chest pain begins to plague him, growing more frequent until it strikes every few hours. At his weakest, the slaver's mount suddenly reappears. Arthur, too drained to fight, braces for the worst, but the creature means no harm. It brings food as thanks. That night, Arthur eats roasted meat, his mood heavy. Without this meal, they might have starved. His worries aren't baseless. Tesha's attempt at foraging yields only poisonous mushrooms. Thankfully, the poison only causes diarrhea, or this show might have ended at episode 4. Arthur, who survived bandits, feels like Tesha's antics might be the death of him. Overwhelmed by fatigue, he falls asleep without keeping watch for the first time. The good news, just as his body hits its breaking point, they reach the entrance to the elven kingdom. Tesha is thrilled. Arthur's expression, however, is grim. The moment he steps into the Elven Kingdom, soldiers arrest him, branding him an intruder and preparing to execute him. He looks to Tessia for help, but her strange expression sends a chill through him. In that instant, Arthur's haunted by memories of betrayal from his past life. He suspects Tessia, like other elves, despises humans and has discarded him now that he's served his purpose. Chaos erupts. Tessia frantically stops the soldiers from killing Arthur, and her family appears. Arthur is stunned to learn her parents, Alduin and Muriel, are the Elven king and queen. The most formidable figure is Tessia's grandfather, Varian. His reason overrides his hatred of humans, and he halts Alduin's order to execute Arthur, insisting on investigating what happened between Arthur and Tessia. Arthur senses that with Varian present, he might escape death. As he follows Tessia for questioning, he encounters the Elven Kingdom's architecture and its hostility. The long-standing war between elves and humans leaves Arthur in a precarious spot. He's also puzzled by Tessia's odd expression when he faced execution. Then, his chest pain flares again. Arthur's troubles pile up. He worries for his parents, his health, and the looming Elven investigation. Thanks to Tessia's vouching, tensions ease slightly. Arthur, ever polite, recounts how he was separated from his family and saved Tessia from slavers. Cautiously, he omits his encounter with Sylvia. The problem? The elves, seeing Arthur as a mere child, doubt he could defeat slavers. Only Varian remains neutral. Alduin, steeped in anti-human prejudice, stays wary. When Arthur asks to be sent back to the human kingdom, Alduin refuses, dismissing the debt owed for Tessia's rescue. Tessia glares fiercely at her father, forcing him to relent. The elves reveal a portal to the human kingdom, used only for human-elf-dwarf summits, which won't open for another 5 years. Desperate to find his parents, Arthur refuses to wait. Alduin shifts tactics, offering to send elven soldiers to escort him. Just then, Varian notices Arthur clutching his chest. That night, the pain worsens. Arthur steps outside for fresh air, hoping to ease it. He spots Tessia with her parents, their warmth a stark contrast to his loneliness. Tessia notices his gloom and, to cheer him up, playfully squishes his face. Arthur regrets suspecting Tessia of betrayal. Her pure kindness proves she'd never harm him. His past life's betrayals have made him overly suspicious. Suddenly, Varian feigns an attack on Tessia, confirming Arthur's magical talent. Varian tosses Arthur a sword to test his true strength. During their clash, Varian is astonished. Arthur's combat skills, paired with his talent, surpass many seasoned warriors. He even protects Tessia mid-fight. In a moment of carelessness, Varian is outmaneuvered by Arthur's sneak attack. Varian, eager for another round, is stopped by Tessia. He admires Arthur and hints at taking him as a student, warning that refusal means death. Arthur collapses, his mind conjuring another version of himself, tormented by pain. A mysterious beast looms ahead, but before he can make sense of it, Tessia wakes him. Tessia, worried for his health, shares news. Varian wasn't threatening him but insisting he stay in the Elven Kingdom for treatment. Meanwhile, Varian argues with Alduin. Elven tradition forbids humans from staying long, but Varian is adamant. He plans to take Arthur to an old friend. On the way, Varian thanks Arthur, noting that Tessia smiles more with him. As the kingdom's sole heir, Tessia was betrayed by friends at a young age. Arthur realizes she hides her pain behind her cheerful facade. They meet Varian's friend, Linnea, who, like Arthur's mother, Alice, wields rare magic beyond the 4 elements. Linnea instructs Arthur to gaze into a basin of water and picture his parents. Let's check in on Alice and Reynolds. They're still consumed by grief, haunted by their separation from Arthur. Reynolds drowns his pain in alcohol, while Alice weeps daily. After parting with their companions, they try to move forward, but thoughts of Arthur pierce their hearts with guilt and longing. Arthur's voice suddenly reaches them, startling them into thinking it's a ghost. He explains he must stay in the Elven Kingdom for treatment and urges them to stay strong. Overjoyed, Reynolds and Alice cling to hope for a reunion. As Arthur's tears fall into the water, the connection fades. He vows to grow stronger to spare his parents more pain. The final hurdle is convincing Alduin. Varian promises to oversee Arthur as his mentor, ensuring he poses no threat to the elves. Tessia stresses they owe Arthur for saving her. Under pressure from his father and daughter, Alduin relents, allowing Arthur to stay, a historic step toward human-elf harmony that would shock other kingdoms. Hand in hand with Tessia, Arthur finally takes in the Elven Kingdom's beauty. In his past life, he chased strength, neglecting life's deeper joys. His mood sours when Elven kids, raised to see humans as savages, mock Tessia for befriending him. Arthur, with his past life adult wit, won't stay quiet. He outsmarts the ringleader, Phyllis, in a verbal spar. Furious, Phyllis challenges him to a duel, threatening to tarnish Varian's name if Arthur refuses. The elven adults, hoping to see Arthur lose, don't intervene, but the fight is one-sided. Without even using magic, Arthur knocks Phyllis out with a single punch. The gap in their skill is staggering. After these hiccups, Arthur faces a new trial. He's inherited a beast's will, causing his chest pain. It's not all bad. Training with Virion could turn this power into a weapon. Arthur is eager, sensing this life will outshine his last. That wraps up episodes 1 to 6, where Arthur embarks on a bold new journey. Why has he inherited a beast's will? Is Sylvia safe like Arthur's parents? If you're hooked on this epic fantasy, subscribe to my channel, and let's dive into the next adventure together.